More than 30 civilians have been killed in an airstrike in the city of Kunduz in Afghanistan's Kunduz province. It happened during an Afghan NATO Special Forces operation against the Taliban. Dozens more people are also thought to have been injured, including children, in the Tuesday night bombing. That's according to local journalists citing government sources. There are conflicting reports about who was responsible, with some blaming the attack on Afghan army helicopters. NATO has raised the subject of casualties during the operation in Kunduz, but only mentions soldiers and nothing about civilians. We discussed the incident with Afghan-based journalist Bilal Sawari.
I have been able to speak to the governor of Kunduz province, who's now confirmed at least 31 civilians have been killed, including 15 children. I would assume that an airstrike would be called by the Americans because American lives are at stake. Americans have more drones, more fighter jets. The Afghan forces only have a handful of helicopters. We are now also seeing civilians bringing bodies of children, women, and elderly to the provincial capital protesting. And I think what this airstrike does, it puts the Afghan government in a very difficult position.
Now, if confirmed, it would not be the first such attack on the area. Last year, a US airstrike hit a Doctors Without Borders hospital, killing 42 people and wounding dozens more, in what Washington dubbed a mistake. Now, that airstrike was part of a joint US-Afghan operation to retake Kunduz from the Taliban. 1 year after that mission, Taliban fighters again entered several parts of the city. The militants control large areas of the province around the city. Afghan-based journalist Bilal Sawari thinks sufferings of the people are being largely ignored.
You need to remember that the people of Afghanistan continue to bear the brunt of this conflict. Earlier today, for example, a wedding party was targeted. We don't know whether they were caught in the fighting between Afghan forces and the Taliban, or there was a roadside bomb or a rocket landed. But at least 12 civilians are killed and the bride is injured. I mean, every other day in Afghanistan you have a widow. Every other day you have a child who gets to be an orphan. Every other day you have families, losing their family members. And the fighting across the country also means that Afghanistan now has over 1 million internally displaced people. This is a huge catastrophe for Afghanistan, a country that has seen war and destruction for generations almost.